Level by Level Gaming, and this is going to be part 2 of our walkthrough series on the original Mario Brothers for the NES. If you want to watch part 1, I will leave a link on the screen at the end of the video. Alright, continuing on, we end our first part of this video with the bonus stage, Phase 8, and we almost get the last coin. Netting all the coins on this bonus phase will give you 5,000 extra points. Alright, moving into Phase 9, we are greeted by a couple of shell creepers, and as you see, I wait till they fall on the second platform, and I make quick work of them. After that, we have a firefly and another shell creeper to deal with. And as you see, whenever I go to kick the firefly and the shell creeper, I run slam into the introduction of our new enemy, the slip ice. If you watch the slip ice, he will travel a certain distance along the screen. He will stop, embed himself, and he will make an even slipperier version of that platform than it was before. And it does make it super hard to deal with the enemies after he does so. I will go up here and I will kick this shell creeper out of the way. I will take care of the slip ice before he's able to embed himself. And we just have one shell creeper left, which I'm able to address here at the very end. Alright, let's move on to Phase 10. Alright, it looks like we got a couple of sidesteppers right off the bat, and I am able to clear one of them very quickly. I grab my coin and move up to the next level to address whatever comes out next, which happens to be a fly and another sidestepper. Now you will see something that has happened to me many times in my playthroughs is I did get that sidestepper flipped onto his head, but in the process of jumping to avoid another hazard, I struck the floor underneath him and he ended up back on his feet again. And like I said, that type of thing happens quite frequently. Now, to end the phase out here, I flipped both of those sidesteppers up the first time, and then I used the POW to get them up onto their head to clear them and end the phase. Alright, moving into Phase 11, you will see that after I take care of this firefly and jump over the sidestepper, there will be a bit of a pause glitch in the screen right about here, and I do apologize about that. What had happened was I have been playing this game as a marathon session to get the footage you've already seen in part 1 and you are now watching in part 2, and I end up having to go to the bathroom. So I hit pause, did what I had to do, came back, unpaused, and it created a gap in the footage where I had to delete all that downtime. And once again, I do apologize about that. So let's get back into the commentary for Phase 11. As you can see, I have been pretty successful in stifling the attempts of the slip ice to root themselves, and I do have 3 more enemies left on the screen, which are all sidesteppers. One of them is aggravated and the other 2 are not. So let's go ahead and start addressing those. I take care of one here. As you can see, they are really pressing me in one direction, so I came from behind and kicked him out of the way. Now I just have 2 sidesteppers left. The problem is whenever you get down to one sidestepper, you will see that last one is super fast and in my opinion the most dangerous enemy in the entire game. Alright, let's try to address him here. And in the process of addressing the fast crab, I flung myself right into one of those green fireballs. So on my descent down on the elevator, I was able to kick him out, clear him, and move on to Phase 12. Alright, moving into Phase 12, I've got 2 Marios left and I've only got 2 phases to go to be able to successfully complete the first 14 phases, which was my goal for this 2-part series. Now that's not too bad of a position to be in, however, you will see here in just a few, it will fall apart. I do have this sidestepper that I clear out of the screen, leaving only 1 fly and 1 sidestepper left. And I absolutely do not want that sidestepper to become the fast version, so I do hyperfixate on getting him off the screen. And in doing so and running from the slip ice, I jump the gap and right into a red fireball that honestly I didn't even see had materialized on the screen. Now my saving grace is I've only got 1 enemy left, and it is the fast moving fly. So all I have to do is avoid the slip ice and the green fireballs, and I can at least clear phase 12, which I do here. by kicking the firefly and successfully clearing the level. Now moving into phase 13, I'm at least safe from losing a life because it is just one of these bonus collect the coin stages, which at this point, no surprise, I'm not great at, and I'm once again just shy of grabbing the final coin. Now in previous playthroughs, I have successfully completed the bonus levels and I've gotten extra points. This one I never have, so I can't even really tell you how many points you get for it without looking it up online. Alright, we are finally on phase 14 and we will see how this goes with my final Mario and am I able to be successful. Okay, you have to realize that at this point I have been playing a marathon of the game and my previous playthroughs has not given me much confidence that I'm going to be able to complete phase 14 with only one Mario to go. So when I jump this gap, kick that sidestepper and see that I have cleared phase 14 and moved on to phase 15 for the first time, there was a split second of relief. Then I had to make another split second decision. Am I going to continue on with this last Mario and just see how far it can take me, or am I going to cut the system off and edit the video and put out the series? Now, I obviously made the split second decision to continue on and see how far I can go. So let's let the video roll. Let's see how far it will take me. And while we're doing that, I'm just going to make a little bit of commentary about the game and my experience with it. Alright, the first thing that I want to talk about in letting this video round itself out and the footage play in the background is the phenomenon that I noticed after phase 14. Now I'm going to call this phenomenon letting go and letting the game. Let me explain. In deciding to make this walkthrough for the original Mario Bros. Arcade port for the NES, I had set a goal and a standard for myself that I would play the first 14 phases, and upon beating the 14th phase and moving into the 15th phase, I would stop the video, edit, and release. I'd convinced myself that this would be a fairly easy thing to accomplish, and in reality, what happened is I would get into these higher levels of my goal, phases 12, 13, even 14. My gameplay would fall apart, I'd lose all my Marios, and I would be back at the beginning of a run, rinse, and repeat. This started getting frustrating, and then I noticed that my gameplay didn't get better. It actually started getting worse, and I wouldn't even make it into these higher phases for entire sessions. So, simply said, whenever I beat phase 14 and I only had one Mario left, but I didn't have any goals anywhere I was trying to get to, I was just going to let go and play. I noticed that I probably played better than I played this entire video series. So, maybe that's the key. That's the magic to beating these old games, is just letting go, having fun, and playing the game. As stated in one of my previous videos on the subject, this game can theoretically play in an infinite loop, with your run only ending at the exhaustion of all your lives. This is in contrast to the Donkey Kong port, which included the famous kill screen at 133 levels, and that would ensure your run in that game would end eventually regardless of your skill level. Out of curiosity, I went back and did an internet search on the highest scores and levels ever achieved in the Mario Bros. Arcade port for the NES, and what I found was back in January of 2015, a gentleman by the name of Steve Klysath, now I might be butchering that name, scored upwards of 5.5 million points on this game. Now I didn't dig any deeper than that to find out what level that took, but needless to say, that is pretty darn skilled in the game. And as always with these retro games, the level of nuance and intricacy that it takes to master is far more than I can cover in any one video series. The muscle memory, the pattern recognition, and the time and effort that it takes to acquire is always a wonder to be held whenever you see or read about these masters in action. At the end of the day, I'm thankful I went back and played this Nintendo classic. Sure, it had its ups and downs, and it had its frustrations, but that's par for the course when you get into any video gaming, much less retro gaming. And to recap just a little on some of my previous videos, when you play this game, you gain a deeper appreciation for the origin of this beloved franchise. You see the beginnings of Mario and his brother Luigi, as well as the groundwork being laid for things such as mechanics and visuals, even iconic enemies such as the famous Koopa Troopa. So, as always, thank you guys so much for taking this journey with me. It was well worth it. And if you like these kind of videos, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you think.